Good morning again, and I have the pleasure before I launch into the message for today. We have a special guest amongst us, and I wanted him to come forward, Reverend Jay. This awesome man, and he's from the Napa Center for Spiritual Living, and he joined us this weekend for a board retreat, and I feel like he's my brother, my spiritual brother. Yeah.
Me too.
I resonated with everything he had to say, and our board can all speak the same words that you have helped us in so many ways to really allow our 2019 to be a year of good for all. So thank you for spending the time with us. So if you have a chance to say hello to this wonderful man, you'll appreciate him as much as I do right now. So thank you.
I just wanted to say that it was my pleasure because you have a wonderful community here, and I just honor the light that you are as a community. So thank you for being who you are and who you are, Sue and Mary.
Yeah.
So thank you. Blessings.
Yeah, thank you. I was going to tease him yesterday that I was going to have him just do the talk off the cuff and get myself off the hook, but that's not very nice. So the message today, Mary and I are really excited for our theme this year. We're working with some of the wisdom of many teachers, but we're launching our whole year's theme on your sacred self. And this is the book, Wayne Dyer, and we have some in our bookstore. And making your decisions to be free, your sacred self, your sacred self. Now, last year, we spoke every day about the 100 years of Science of Mind teaching from Ernest Holmes. So we applied those wisdoms. And all through that, it kept leading me back to the deep self. What is that? And it's so interesting when I look at this, and when I was doing typing notes, I kept exchanging. Sacred kept coming out scared, on the keyboard. And I thought, well, look at that. It's either your scared self, ego, or your sacred self, the Atman, the divine. And I thought that's just the way it is, as the keyboard can often teach you many things. So making the decision to be free, Wayne Dyer's wisdom to launch us into this new year. And we have some guest speakers coming this month, powerful teachers. And next week, we really want you to invite your friends and neighbors to hear. It's all about me right now. Terry Cole Whitaker, I'm so embarrassed. Please cut that out of the tape. She's going to be doing a workshop and speaking as well. And if you've been in metaphysics for very long, she's got a lot of history behind her and a lot of wisdom. So we really want to see you again next week to hear her and join her in her workshop. Our message today is making the decision to be free. Making the decision to be free. And this is in the idea that this can be, from Wayne Dyer's wisdom, your life's greatest challenge, choosing to be free. And he opens with a quote. Immanuel Kant says, "The greatest human quest is to know what one must do to become a human being." And being a human being, and all that goes in with creative intelligence, recognizing that it is the nature of our mind to think, and we're sometimes under the impression that other people aren't thinking as much as we are thinking. But if we could, plug in to each one's consciousness, we'd realize the variety of thoughts that are constantly flooding this system of our divine being. So the sacred self, we start recognizing, well, where are we? Let's start there. Where are we? Because each one of us here is on a different level of spiritual understanding. So when I speak an idea, you're grasping a certain idea of that relates to your perceptual field, right? So I can think, well, I told you that. And you're like, no, you didn't. And it's like, well, because we're not hearing one another often. We pick up pieces, yet we think that we're all on the same page. We're grasping ideas as they fit into our paradigm. And I think we're all on the same page there. The challenge then is to discern, well, what is limiting me? This great wisdom, what's limiting me? What's in my way? What don't I know? I remember getting in trouble in nursing school when I was taking care of a patient with a hip replacement, and she said, well, what type is it? And I said, an Ostenmoor, acting like I knew what that meant. Then I found out that I needed to know what that meant. She goes, well, what does that mean? And I said, don't know. And she goes, you don't know. You're taking care of somebody and you don't know. I said, well, I didn't know I didn't know. I didn't know what I didn't know. You know, have you been there? I don't know what I don't know. And then you find yourself kind of in hot water. But what does that do? It stirs you to know, right? If you don't know, then there's a longing to know. And so it becomes very zen. And so you think, okay, I didn't know, but this stirs me to never be embarrassed like this again. And so from there on, that was the greatest teaching for me in nursing. If I had a diagnosis I didn't know, I made sure I did before I entered the realm of the patient or the physician or my other colleagues. So what do we know? What do we know in each moment of time? Wayne Dyer is speaking to this by reminding us that we're often facing the wrong way. And I'll speak of that a little bit later. Facing the wrong way, that we are a divine being called to know our sacred self. We're called. It's our nature to long to know what is my sacred self. It's a hunger. It's why you choose to read what you read, to come into the center, to find the spiritual practice that fits your heart's desire. So we're a divine being called to know our sacred self by mastering some of the keys to higher awareness. Your soul, your sacred self, can become the master of your destiny when you allow it to rule your way. I find that really exciting to realize, thank God, I'm in the year 2019 and 2018 is over. 2018 was a great year to really realize what is in my way, politically, emotionally, physically, what's in our way. And so last year we had a great opportunity to find what were our triggers. Okay, now we know them. Let's quit whining about them. And let's begin to explore them deeper to the source, to that deep sacred soul that sees that it's all good. It's all good. And the calling here is for you to walk deeper in. So that's what it means, facing the wrong way, looking out there, trying to move pieces out there before we have dealt with the true source within, with the intelligence, with the divine, with that which, wow, is really in charge here. You call it your God, your mystery, your spirit, nature. What do you want to call it? What words can I speak that will allow you to hear? I am that. Oh, my beloved dwells within me as me. Inside, I turn within and I see that and I awaken to that. And so we're looking at this idea, as Wayne Dyer says, your sacred self, that deep self can triumph over the ego identity. And it can be, and it is, the dominant force in your life. Now, aligned with this teaching, the organization is also exploring very similar. Now, we're branching off a little bit from the main course of their teaching, but I find that it dovetails in. It's important at this time of the year to go back to your Science of Mind text and start looking at the first 4 chapters, because Ernest Holmes really does a beautiful job in those 4 chapters of bringing us into an understanding and answering some of the deep questions that we have. So one of the ministers in the organization, Reverend Dr. Maxine Case, she reminds us to cultivate this presence according to the Science of Mind point of view, knowing that a universal intelligence individualizes itself. A universal intelligence, the one, individualizes itself, places itself in and through each of us as a co-creator with the infinite, with the divine. This teaching that we are immersed in empowers each of us to rediscover our divinity and to practice principle, to court the presence and direct the law. The law. Do I know what the law is? I don't know what I don't know. Do I know what the law is? It is done unto you as you believe. What are your beliefs? What is stirring down deep inside of you? Not the confusing, conflicting thoughts of what you know is ego, but deeper. The phone. A pause. All of us are calm because it's not our phone, but there's one in here that is fumbling right now. Yeah. So courting the presence and directing the law, we transform. When we can do that, when we can really sit in our spiritual practice, and that can take just a few moments in the day, you wake up and you start directing that divine force, right? How is my day? How can I unfold? Let me help design the way so that I can see the beauty in all faces, so I can see the truth through all triggers, so I can remember to step back into the deep calm that dwells within me. May I see with the eyes of the divine. May I stand in my soul. May I look within so that I can look out. So this idea of transforming our beliefs into greater possibilities. And why bother? Why do that? It's the only place where peace is. And when we can cultivate that idea, that deep knowing, then we radiate it out into the world. So we here in the center wake up today and recognize we are co-creating our way. We're beginning right here, right now. And then the next day, we begin again. And we start seeking this harmonious life through cultivating this beautiful spiritual consciousness that we dwell in. And we lean into our faith. And we start to find fulfillment and meaning in everything. So anxiety and fear fade into nothingness. We think they have something on us, but they can fade into nothingness. So the first step is to know God's grace. I invite you just to be aware right now of God's grace. Relax your shoulders, relax your heart, and feel your feet, and recognize the divine infinite is flowing through you, individualizing itself as you, and it brought you here. And it's asking you to wake up. God's grace, knowing something greater than ourselves, and letting go of depending on any external influence whatsoever. Nothing has bound us. That's freedom, isn't it? I want you to kind of shrug around going, oh yeah, even if I have little of addictive ways, I really can be free of those. I am now. I am right now because I'm not doing it. I'm not eating popcorn right now, so I am free of that addiction. Right now I am. It's going to challenge me perhaps later. Notice how I pick a really mild one. I'm not expose anything, down and dirty, but that, we've all got it. So looking at your first step, just knowing that God's grace is with you. when you lean into your faith. So why does Wayne Dyer say we're facing the wrong way? Okay, because we're looking outside of ourselves, again, for the answers, for reassurance, for stability, for love, and acceptance. Reverend Mary and I got that big time this week. And we turned and looked within. And what did we find? Answers of reassurance, answers of stability, answers of a greater love, and a deeper acceptance. And we rose to our spiritual authority. Right, Mary? It's awesome. And how did we get there? Through the fellowship, through the honesty of others, through Reverend Jay. We took a moment, it was all happening out here, and then we went within. And then we can look back out because we do our work. And you're turning to invite yourself to find your answer within. So we're going to explore a meditation in a few moments that points to this, that allows you to start to paint your future and your now with this idea. And it involves practicing with the higher consciousness. It involves being with what is known as the third eye, into that realm of where our prayers and our meditations take us, to the divine seat of consciousness. Now, I point to this space. We see our world right through these eyes, but there's two of them, right? And there's duality then. So we're seeing what we see. But the divine nature, the divine intelligence, has created us in such a way we have another realm. We have an eye we cannot see from the outer. But as we turn within, into that divine place, and we allow our eyes to look deeply into that realm, we start to enter that higher level of consciousness. That's what we want. That's why we come here. Not just for community and fellowship, that's all part of the beauty, but the true bliss is the awakening here. Now, when I touch here, I can already feel a tingling, and this is the weirdest thing, but I've told this story before, and nobody ever really, they kind of look at me like, that's kind of weird, why is she even sharing it? So here at Wine, and I do it publicly. My mom used to iron, and she had one of those aluminum, I think it would stand that would come up, and then the bar would come out, and she would hang my dad's shirts on that, right? You've seen those kinds of things? I was in 4th grade, and I was just tall enough where that bar that came out here would touch me right there. So she'd be ironing, I'll pretend this is it, and I'd just be. And she'd think, what is she doing? But I was like, I'm mesmerized. Something here had my attention. I didn't know what this was, but it stopped everything for me. And I would just love the feeling of everything energetically being drawn in here. And so maybe you have had these odd moments of awakening that you can't quite why did I do that? Why did I go there? Why am I in such awe staring at a sunrise or a star? What is that? It's the deep beckoning. It's the deep call of the divine. It is the sacred self. It is that which has all the potentiality of the awakening that we long for. This right here is the beginning. So you start to turn within and not look out. Face inward. Reverse your gaze. Duality, oneness. Duality out, oneness in. It's such an awesome mathematical equation of truth. And so the inner light of deep knowing is right here. So I'm going to have the sound, Damien, the sound team there to play a meditation background. Soham. Soham is really God is, I am, but it's said in Sanskrit so you don't get caught up in the words. That's just going to be in the background, and I invite you right now to just posture yourself in such a way that you feel that this is my posture of divine connection. And when you meet the divine, when you meet anything greater than you feel, don't you want to have some dignity and feel that my spine rises to this moment? I'm not going to be slumped and depressed. I'm going to lift my heart forward, open my heart, feel my heart, touch my awakening. And then you start to close your eyes and you turn within. Turning within. This meditation comes from Muktananda, Swami Muktananda. So let's begin. Om Soham. Breathing. Moving within. Here we go. Om Soham. Moving gently inward. Breathing deeper. Calling in the life force, the particles of creativity. Breathing in, breathing out what no longer serves our greater good. Doubt, fear, insecurity. Let that go. Let it go. Let it move back into nothingness. Thoughts rise. Go deeper. Go to the place that witnesses when the thought even became a thought. Go deeper. Om Soham. I am that. And I'm leading myself in. Now, eyes cast up to the inner realm, your inner sanctuary, your divine altar. Om Soham. Relax and breathe. This is your sacred self. Let it start to release its glory in you. Let it begin to anoint the entire body with the juice and the power and the light of the divine. God dwells within you as you. This divine glory, this divine light is now awakening in you. Feel it. Feel that light. It's starting to explode into you everywhere, through every cell, into every thought, into every breath. The entire universe exists within you in this light. As you partake of this divine light and feel that now you only have the eyes that can see out into your world through this divine inner knowing. You see? From there. And you start to, with closed eyes, looking out into your world, through the eyes of the divine, but they're through your eyes, through your light. This divine light of consciousness begins to fill your eyes. Your human eyes begin to be filled. So whatever you now look upon, you see it. You see through it. You see with it. You see radiance in people, radiance in trees, in the rocks, in every building. You're seeing the same consciousness rising and falling in every wave of thought, every feeling that is passing through your mind. Wherever your mind goes, you will find this inner consciousness. Wherever you go, you are the co-creator in your world with this light. You see, the entire universe is contained within your own self. This deep knowing, this deep self. You know everything. You know everything. You know everything. Your heart bursts open. You are free. What you know is divinely inspired. This intelligence that has always been present, that has created you and has allowed you to have the faith to know that this intelligence is what allows my heart to beat. It is that intelligence that I don't have to tell my body to breathe. It will breathe, it will digest, it will do what it needs to do. This divine intelligence, now I am tapping in to know that it too knows my whole world experience, and I rely on that, and I create my faith in that, this inner infinite knowing, this modification of my world now. I am awakened to a greater light. There is nothing but the play of my own consciousness going on here. And we realize it is I, it is you who is reflecting all that there is everywhere. And it's your own reflection coming back to remind you. This is passing before you, through you, in you, all the time. So we breathe deeper. We open our hands and hearts and the soles of our feet. And today, because we chose to come to this service, that we chose this moment to be awake. I am that. I am that light. I am that truth. I am that infinite source. I am that substance. I am that which is in all things, and it begins with my understanding that it is dwelling within me, and it is directing my consciousness now. And I allow it to be so. I have no doubt, no fear. Oh, I posture myself even more brightly. I am this peace. I am that I am. And as I enter and know that I dwell in this sacred realm, I'm in this sacred ground, I offer my prayer from here. For here is where truth is. There is only one love, one God, one Spirit. I feel it now as a holy light that is immersed in me as I keep my eyes directed to that radiance of truth. It fills me now, and I see through the eyes of the divine when I open my eyes to my world. And I see truth in every human. I see truth and love in every aspect of humanity, of the plants, of the trees, of the waters, of the air. I love my planet. I love my universe. I am immersed now in taking care of all that is before me, I drop my worry and I rise as the servant to the holiness. I am that. I can do that in every way. The prayer of my heart is a revelation of truth. The sacred self, I am free because I am guided and led by the sacred self. Awesome. I breathe this. I know this. My prayer continues deeper. Deeper into the place of the absolute gratitude for the wisdom and the way, my way. I'm looking in. It's my way. It's my way, and I'm good enough. I'm worthy. I'm grounded. I speak truth. No games. Drop the games. I'm so grateful. I'm strong and empowered right now, right here. I see only through the holy light. It is me as me. I'm so grateful. I am so grateful. My heart is bursting. All those joining me here today in fellowship, we're all one in this light on our journey, and we lean into one another. We lean into each other's light as the light becomes more bright and brilliant and illuminates our path. Together we walk and we serve. Sacred service to the divine. That's all we need from here on. Sacred service to our planet, to the Mother. I give thanks. Together we say, and so it is. And we wake up. And I see you. And it's brilliant.